walker. Clear the path, I'm going home. I have become so cold, so numb. Load up my gun, I'm out for blood. Nightmares come to life, your past is back to haunt you. I can't feel anything at all, I'm out for blood. The drive-by shooters, the restraining order, the neo-Nazi, the worst traffic jam on earth, and the cops could never stop it. I'm the anti-hero, turned to supervillain, a violent crime statistic, one amongst the millions. Roll the prices back to 1965, I'm falling down the Broadway side. How did I become the bad guy? I did everything they told me to. Kill me or I will kill you. I have become so cold, so numb. Load up my gun, I'm out for blood. I have become so cold, so numb. Load up my gun, I'm out for blood. I'm out for blood. I'm out for blood. I'm out for blood. I'm out. Head on a bike, bleeding vacant tonight as you cry through your mouth like the masses.
What's up, everybody? I'm Blake from Audiotree, and I'm here with Chris Freeman from Hot Mulligan, just to do a Q&A. Since the band's a little separated, we couldn't do a full, explosive band thing, but I wanted to sit down with him and just talk about some, like, his life in quarantine, whatever, and then have you guys interact with us as well. So any chat questions that you have, please send them, and we'll try and address them. What's up, Chris? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. You said you're in Wyoming right now, as
Yep.
in not the state of Wyoming, Michigan, which is close to me.
Right?
But you're moving to the UP.
I am. Yeah. So a little bit. I mean, it's open up there. Everything's open, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's not much to open up. So I don't know if anything really changes.
Are you just going back to your family or what?
Yeah. So my fiance is going to grad school at NMU.
Okay.
And that's like up in Marquette. It's pricey to live up there. And both of our parents are from Manistee, which is semi-close. So just seemed like the right move.
Yeah. And so is she going to school then right now, or she will be come the fall? So you just want to move now and get ahead of it, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Settle in.
Right. Plus we can't go ahead.
No, you go, sorry.
I was gonna say we haven't been able to have like any maintenance on our apartment since the lockdown, and our washing machine broke like right beforehand. So we're like washing our clothes in the bathtub with detergent.
What?
And like I know, total first world problem, whatever, have to wash your clothes by hand, but it's like, can you please just come inside and fix the washing machine?
Like, I get it. There's people that don't have clean water, but like, dude, please.
Yeah.
Where it's at. There is something that's funny about, like, I think about that with camping a lot. Like, you ever met somebody who's one of those like North Face enthusiast kind of people who just like has all the gear, and when they go camping, it feels like, okay, like this is just your life, but instead of sleeping in a house, you sleep in a tent.
Yeah, it's like fake camping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing. It's like once you get used to a certain like set of living, it doesn't matter that it's like harder for other people or whatever. It's still like, clothes to be clean. Like, I don't know what else to say, you know?
Right.
So what has lockdown been like for you? It's been like 8 weeks have you been in Wyoming the whole time? So it's been shelter in place for me too, for the same day as me.
So I started it in the UP actually visiting my
okay.
parents. But the internet was not great up there. And
Yeah.
so this leads into like what I've been doing during quarantine, which
Yeah.
is I started like streaming on Twitch, doing like some live songwriting and stuff, as it seems that's like the only thing I could do right now. So after a few weeks in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I came down here and I've been doing that.
Cool. How has that been going? What specifically have you been doing? You've been like writing a song and then talking about it as you're writing it, or like taking advice for songs, or what kind of thing?
So I've been doing where I would like write a song live on stream and show everything that I'm doing like in Logic Pro and talk about the choices I make while I do it. And then every now and then I actually get demo submissions from other musicians, and then I like critique their demos before they go to record them and just offer whatever advice I might have for it.
Nice. Do you ever have to pull back like really scathing thoughts? Just like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard, but you're not going to tell them that, you know? You got to tell them, like, here's what works a little bit about this.
There's been like a couple songs I've gotten in there where at the end of it, I just had to say like, I don't get this. I don't, and like, I'm not outright saying like it's bad, but like simply for me, like I don't get it as a listener, and I'm pretty selective. So that's just like, that's my take on it. It could be for someone else, but
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like that's a really honest thing. I write poetry and share it with my wife, and she always says things like, "Oh yeah, that seems like a poem." Like, right. I don't know. I don't know who this is for. Like, whatever, but sure. Like,
right.
Yeah. So that I guess would be sort of the answer to work, or like, are you doing a job otherwise, or did you have a job otherwise? Obviously being in a band, but you know.
Right. Well, so we had a tour that was supposed to start like 10 days from now. It's going to be our headlining tour for our new album.
Yeah.
So that's like normally my job that I can't do right now. And outside of that, I normally was a runner or like a gig worker for other shows that happen to the Grand Rapids, Lower Michigan area. So I can't do that either.
Yeah. Anything with venues, you can't
do. But I'm actually finishing up my last year of school right now. So that's been kind of occupying my time. And like I said, I tried to do the Twitch stream to keep myself sane, and I don't know, trying to do something during all of it.
Right. What about for school? What will be your degree?
It'll be a bachelor in interdisciplinary humanities.
Interesting. What's that mean? Just like sociology and stuff like that?
It's like a major.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like one of those ones where you can't really be like, yeah, I'm like super versed in internal communication or some buzzword. It's like the major is a buzzword, and then along the way I hit a bunch of different other buzzwords.
And that's the only way to make it work. Just here's all these different buzzwords.
Yeah.
I love it. I can hear your passion for it.
Yeah, really what I do though, it's a mixture of marketing, professional writing, and art.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very. I thought at first when you said runner, you meant like running marathons or something, but then I running gear.
Right.
Yeah. What's your experience been in? I'm like very new to, well, not very new, but 4 years new to Michigan. And I'm just curious what your sort of, I don't know, short synopsis of like music here is, like your experience with the music scene. Cause you grew up in Lansing, is that right? Or like
no,
that
actually, I grew up in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, okay. You did. That's what you were saying about your family. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so did you like go to shows up there? Did you ever travel down to go to shows, that kind of thing?
So where I grew up, there was shows didn't really happen there, not in the sense of like shows that I would go to, but what would happen up there is there would be cover bands at the local bars or the casino, And then once a year, there was the Upper Peninsula State Fair, where they would bring in an act that was bigger a decade or decades ago, and they play up there like in the amphitheater at the fairgrounds or whatever. So that was pretty much all I got to see growing up until I turned like 16 and could drive. And then I started coming to shows down here in the lower half of Michigan. My first one was Man Overboard and Mayday Parade at the intersection in Grand Rapids. But
Nice.
Michigan has a lot going on with music all the time. I feel like a lot of my favorite bands before I even knew they were from Michigan, like they ended up being from Michigan. And there's 3 pretty sizable places where shows happen: the Detroit area, Grand Rapids, Lansing, and then they even have Saginaw and Kalamazoo. So there's like a lot you can tackle in just like the one state.
For sure. Do you think there's like an ethos that unifies those bands? I mean, I think about like, I don't know, I have a bunch of bands in mind that I don't need to name drop or whatever, but do you think there's something sort of centrally Michigan about bands that come out of here, or Midwest maybe in general?
I think a lot of people might think that there is, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think, like I said, there are so many different hot spots like Kalamazoo, Detroit, Lansing, Grand Rapids, where I feel like bands in those areas might have similar influences or vibes from each other, but I don't think it always necessarily connects and makes like a certain sound. And part of why I like Michigan so much is like the sound is diverse. Like we've got bands like Fireworks to La Dispute to Citizen started in Michigan, and Citizen sounds nothing like Dogleg and stuff like that. Like I feel like all the bands are pretty different. There's a lot of diversity.
Yeah, for sure. And I would imagine that, I mean, the population alone of the state speaks to that. It's not like a huge state, in terms of the United States or in comparison to the rest of the United States. But we do have Detroit and all the cities they mentioned. So there's definitely some population. What are your thoughts about creation during this time? Whether obviously you're doing the Twitch thing, so you're writing songs and you're building a framework for moving forward as a band. I'm just curious if you felt inspired in this time, or has it kind of been droll, or what is like your feeling about the sort of creative aspect of it?
I have like a lot of thoughts on it actually. So that's a good question. I feel like in many ways it's a super creative time in a lot of people's lives. Like I said, like I jumped into the streaming world, and like I'm not the only one. Plenty of people are jumping into streaming and seeing what the benefits of streaming are and how to make more entertaining streams and keep people for longer. And at first I started out like really driven, like if I'm going to be home all the time, then I'm going to play my guitar as much as possible, or I'm going to write as many songs, or get as good as I can at something. And then after so much time, it becomes like I need outside inspiration.
Dude, yes.
It's both at the same time and full force with that.
Cool. Other thoughts? Tell me about your daily routine kind of thing. Are you into, playing your guitar at certain times during the day, or do you find certain times during the day are easier for you to write or stream or anything like that?
So I've been streaming later in the day just because that's when my fiance goes to bed. So that gives me time to just come in here and have my time while she has hers, I guess.
Sure.
My daily routine is like wake up at 11, drink coffee for an hour and do nothing but scroll on Twitter. Then I play a couple games of Rocket League, smoke some weed, take a bath, try to play guitar, get frustrated with myself, go play Rocket League until I lose, decide I hate everything that I do, and then watch Riverdale for hours, and then smoke some more weed, probably take another bath because why the hell not, and then play guitar and do the same thing that I did earlier and then realize I hate it.
That sounds exactly like the trajectory of my normal days, but I'm also trying to work and I also have 2 kids. So instead of a lot of that
Okay.
stuff, it's like the same, but it's the same chaos. I always feel like I can't control it. It's just
Right.
like happening. Like, yeah, at least sometimes I can take a walk or something and that's nice. But yeah, oh my God. It's just exhausting and weird.
Yeah. And the thing with the schedule is that I'm so used to, I guess, just doing whatever I feel at the moment that like I don't even think about school. And then suddenly I click on the page where I'm doing my homework and I'm like, oh shit, we got a
Oh,
lot coming up. So then I'll take like one day and I'll do everything in one day.
oh my God. That is wow. That's great.
Yeah.
How does that factor into like the mental health aspect of your life? Do you feel like you're, I don't know, mentally healthy, or do you feel like you have ways of controlling kind of, thoughts you don't want?
Uh, well, I would mentally healthy isn't necessarily what I would use to describe myself. Not that I'm like just
No, me,
sulking all times or anything, but
sure.
and I'm a little chaotic by nature. But I guess the thing for me is with touring being like my main job and thing that I do, when I come home from tour, I'm normally just doing this for 2 months again anyways. So
Yeah,
for me, not much has changed other than like in this time frame, I might have gone out to the bar maybe once
yeah.
and visited friends. So for me, I feel like from a mental health standpoint, I don't really feel like I'm anywhere different.
Okay, that can be good. I think the interesting thing about it for me too is I've been working from home now because I've lived in Grand Rapids for like 3.5 years. So I've been
Mhm.
working from for that long, and so in terms of like my 9 to 5 aspect of it, that hasn't changed much either. Like my it's just the same kind of thing of like sitting having to figure out your own schedule as it happens, like each
Right.
day going to be a little different from the other day. And especially with the way that our work works, us as in me and you being industry people, but also just the Audiotree. It like sometimes, what's the word? Like allows itself to be pretty flexible, I think. And people work odd hours because people are listening to music at odd hours. I mean, in your case, like you guys are going live usually between 7 and 10, like
Yep.
so you work in the night anyway, basically. Do you miss, like, maybe it's an obvious, stupid question, but do you miss it? Like, do you want to be touring real bad right now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially after like we put out our new album and then 2 days later is like
Yep.
everything's on lockdown. And it's like, had I known, we probably wouldn't have put out the album then,
Dude, right?
or would have
Yeah.
put it out differently, like a whole different way. Maybe like month
Yeah.
by month, release a song until it's time. And if it never is time by then, well, it's out now anyways and
Yeah.
live with it.
So,
I don't know. I do think about that. And the biggest thing for me is like, I just want to get together with the band and play loud music in a room with them.
yeah.
Even more than I want to do it on the stage in front of people. But like we haven't really had the chance ourselves to just play through the album and enjoy doing that for practice or for fun. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
what I'm really missing the most. And
That could be
Michigan has it, so you can't even visit your friends.
right. Oh yeah, man. Dude, I feel that a lot. All right, we have a few things that we can talk about that people are asking. Someone said my hair looks great. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Adam. Um, uh, oh, I missed this. Oh yeah, a bunch of people agreeing with you about Michigan. Just that it being like a really cool place for sure.
Oh yeah.
Music. Someone says introverts. Nathan Stevens says introverts are taking it easy. Do you consider yourself on that scale, like continuum of introvert to extrovert? Where do you put yourself?
I would say 99% of the time I'm an introvert, but when I do get in my extrovert zone, I can't be stopped. I have like no control.
Does that mean at parties you're like the life of the party, or you've gone to bed by 8?
Yeah, pretty much. Like if we're on tour or something and we get back to the hotel, maybe another band got the same hotel or something, I'm either like, screw this, guys, like I'm going to bed. You have fun getting drunk or whatever, or I'm like vomiting in the toilet or something.
Oh my God. The only choices like this.
That's all. There's no in between.
I love it. Nathan Stevens also asked, what are your favorite hiking places?
So I'm not much of like a hiker, but I know up in Marquette area they have Sugarloaf Mountain, and I've hiked that before, and that is really cool. There's a boardwalk in my hometown Manistee that's fun to watch, and then there's just like good trails all over the Upper Peninsula, like by the Tequamanon Falls on the east side of the Upper Peninsula is really cool.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about, even just walking trails. Like, yeah. I love that kind of stuff. That stuff's just as like fun to me as, I don't know, real hiking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone also said, I lost their name, but someone also said that. Here we go. Citrus Squeezer. How would we get through quarantine if it hadn't released right before? You know, maybe in the end, what's actually, maybe not from a marketing or release or making money perspective, but maybe for other people's health. You know,
right?
You see them.
That's a good point. And I mean, you got nothing to do but listen to the album. So.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone listen to it right now.
Listen to the MP3, buy a record player, buy the vinyl, whatever you got to do.
Merch if you want. Hey, who doesn't like merch?
Right.
Why don't you pick up a few? This would be the point where Austin, if we knew what we were doing and we were really good at it, right below would be a graphic, you know, and like right under it, point to it. Oh, what's your Twitch handle?
It is CHRSFRMN. It's like Chris Freeman, but with no vowels.
Awesome. Let's see. Another one here. What's your favorite song to play live from the record? I guess this answer has to be if you had played it like before this upcoming tour, or, you know, before it was released, I guess.
So it's hard to say because I don't really know like what the response is going to be to some of the new ones.
Sure.
I would say OG Buell Sky is the one like I'm most excited for, and I think we'll have like a fun crowd response. And Digging In is one of those as well. But for everything prior to this album, I think my favorite one to play live is probably Deluxe Capacitor.
Sick. Fighting for Daylight asks, have you found any cool, is that word similar? Oh, smaller artists through the whole pandemic thing, or maybe just artists in general?
No, I'm not really the type to like dive deep. I don't actively search out music a lot, which is weird because I feel like I should as a musician and someone who tours and stuff. But right before the lockdown started, I got really into Lizzie Farrell, and that's
Cool.
kind of stuck with me through the whole time. So
what about anything else that you're going to that's like nostalgic or something that just, I don't know, that you really like, that you throw on in the morning with your hour of coffee or your weed smoking times?
I was never like super into this album, but I'm gonna look it up what it's called. It's by Boys Like Girls. It might be the self-titled album. Okay. Yes, it is. I don't know what it is, but something about that struck me recently. It popped into my head and I went back and listened to it and I was like, whoa, man, I wish I wrote these songs. These are pretty tight.
Dude.
Pretty tight.
That band had some really good songs.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. They knew how to do melody pretty well, like pretty voice. There's some nice like chorus to bridge chorus sort of, you know, verse chorus bridge chorus sort of songs that like work really well.
Yeah, and they have a lot of just awesome like cadences to them and stuff, like in Heels Overhead, they've got the guitars that are like bum tuka tuka da bum bum wicka wicka. I know that's a dumb explanation, but it's like
No, I
hear
love
that, I'm like, I live for the wicka wicka.
Yeah, I mean, you play rhythm guitar, so that makes perfect sense, right?
Right.
You got the wicka wicka every day.
I wicca all the time, so I don't know, when I see someone else wiccaing the right way, I know it. I can hear.
So have you been listening to it like a lot?
Honestly, almost every day.
Yeah. So are you the kind of listener then that like once you find something like that you're really into, you're just like churning through that until you're sick of it, and then you move on to a new one?
Yep.
Yep. That makes
Sometimes it's like the same album for half a year.
Yeah, and just that.
It's like, it doesn't stop.
Man, you must have really intimate relationships with records. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Some of them like bring me to like a certain place or like a certain tour, because some tours I'll just like put on the same album every time I get in the driver's seat, and then I don't stop.
That's amazing. I'm sure there's something very like grounding about that. Just constant to the same ones for sure. Dan Year, what's some advice to people who want to start writing essentials or skills to work on? Songs, I assume they're asking.
Right. I would say a little bit of music theory helps.
Okay.
Just like a wee bit, maybe know your major scale and the chords that are in that scale. And I guess like the first thing that really got me songwriting was I would learn a song that I liked and find out what I liked about that song, and I would start writing a song that almost sounded just like the other one.
Yeah.
And you do it and you tweak it, and you learn enough songs that you can come up with your own stuff on the fly.
And then do you think that music theory helps just to have like a shared language, or like that when you're collaborating, or a language for yourself to like, I don't know, pass songs through essentially?
Yeah, and a lot of times I don't think it's like a requirement by any means to effectively communicate. And like, as a matter of fact, for a little while, Hot Mulligan communicated via like wicka wickas, or like pointing at the fretboard, or saying like fret 5, what string. But it does help you communicate a lot faster, and especially with people who might not understand whatever your insider lingo or jargon is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't have to be a music theory virtuoso. I'm pretty fundamental in my music theory, I would say.
Sure. Okay, cool. I like that a lot. There's one that I'm trying to read, but for some reason I can't. Let's see. Oh, because they're writing a long one. Now spinning. I'm curious about the vocal style. How natural is it for you and Tates? Do you feel like you've pinpointed what you're going for? This is a 2-part question, so that's the first one.
Okay. So I'll answer that first one? Or do you want me? Okay. It's like pretty natural. I think basically what we started doing was just singing songs that weren't like really comfortably in our range, and in order to hit some of those notes, we had to like yell to get them and add like a lot of distortion to our voice. And then you do that so often, and you blow your voice out, and you're like, I'm doing this wrong. And then eventually you learn to do it where you're not blowing your voice out every time. Once in a while, still you will. I feel like Tades has almost perfectly pinpointed what he's going for. I think I have not always demonstrated that I know what I'm going for when I do it. But a lot of times it's like, I think I know what I want, and then maybe the other guys in the band will tell me to sing a part differently, or say they like my inflection a different way.
Sure. And how do you take that sort of, is it easy to take advice from like the dudes in the band?
Most of the time. On this last record, there were times where I would go in to sing a part and I could sing the part clean, and then I would sing it clean, and they would ask me not to, and I'd come back and I would scream the part instead, and they would say it sounds awesome, and it does sound pretty cool, but it's like when I like don't have to scream the part and then I do it, it's like harder on me. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if I can replicate the parts that I don't naturally sing that way and the way that I did on the record.
Yeah. You're a very interesting person. I don't know someone who speaks with such like you speak very openly about sort of self-critiquing yourself. You're very like not self-deprecating. You just are like, this is kind of the way it is right now at this point. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, yeah. The second part of that, now spinning. Does it feel like you found your style, generally speaking? You sort of answered that. And then do you expect to expand a bit out of your comfort zone moving forward? Maybe you sort of answered that, but if you want to address that specifically.
I feel in some sense we definitely have found our style, and it's something that's going to stay with us no matter what. It's just kind of the way we sing. But I would expect that we do move out of the comfort zone moving forward. While you're talking about me just being open about it, like one of the biggest criticisms, and I would say maybe the most valid criticism of our newest album, is that there's like a lot of distorted vocals. Like we scream a lot on it, perhaps when we don't have to, but it was comfortable for us to do that at times.
Yeah.
But I would also like to take the approach, like there's a couple songs on the album where we get like really quiet in them, and I would say there's maybe a minute of soft vocals like that on the 30-minute album. So we don't do it a lot, but I would like to do it more in the future and find other ways to step out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, it's cool to evolve organically. Like you don't have to force it in any way. Just like you said, like if that's the way it happened because it was the way you felt most comfortable doing it. So as you keep getting, like, I don't know if better is the right word, but just as you keep changing, then like you can adapt it however you want. I personally love like the heavier stuff, especially Equipped Sunglasses is like one of my favorite songs. There's just that yelling like again and again is beautiful. I love it. Yeah. Okay, going to this person's late, so you can say it again, but 3 ERPs, learn any new songs over these quarantine times. I wonder if he means covers or if he's just asking like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's asking if I like learned any songs. I have a little bit. It's funny because like when I first started playing guitar, all I would do was learn songs, and same with drums. But once I understood how I was writing songs for Hot Mulligan, I stopped learning songs on any instrument.
Yeah.
For years. I probably haven't learned a new song in 3, maybe 4 years up until this quarantine. And I learned Bleed American by Jimmy Eat World on guitar.
Yes.
And Swan Dive by Man Overboard.
Yes.
Neither of which I think are super technical, but it was nice to just have them coming through my speakers, and I'm like, I'm in Jimmy Eat World.
Dude, Bleed American is an amazing song. That's also is the name of that album's Bleed American too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that album is awesome.
Yeah, it's so good.
Good.
It's crazy how well the production holds up versus like modern pop punk emo bands too. It's so good.
That's absolutely right. It feels sort of timeless. Like listening to it now, it easily could have come out like last year or whatever. Right. I so agree. That's also probably because people are interested, because that's a specific production style, right? Like I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it feels like there is a similar sound that bands have been going for since they made that sound, whether they made it pop.
Definitely. I was going to say there's like so many bands influenced by that sound and stuff that it's like, it makes sense that it would fit in with stuff coming out now, because even in subtle ways, like bands want to, whether it's like the guitars just sounded so big and bands want big guitars, or the drums sounded raw, stuff like that. Yeah.
There's definitely a crunchy thing to it too, like distorted crunchy thing. Another question about like I think order of events here, but Dan Year, do you and Tate's write lyrics before songs ever? I suppose he's asking like, do you bring? Oh yeah, here we go. When you write lyrics, do you sit down and match the syllable counts and stresses, or you just like feel it out? is what he's asking.
Okay, that's a good question. If he was asking if beforehand do we write lyrics sometimes, the answer is yes, sometimes we do, but not always. It really depends.
Yeah.
And as for syllables, we don't like put them on a piece of paper and count them out or anything, but we definitely do hear the amount of syllables like in our head before we put something out, where it's like we have the melody first before the words come out, and in the melody you kind of reflect where the rhymes would be by going to the same note in certain spots. So like we don't like physically count them or anything, but we definitely tried to make it cohesive. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a feel to it when you're writing a song. It has like whatever it is, the chorus will come to an end at some point, right? And so you're feeling out how the syllables are working, but yeah, you're not writing down like, okay, well, we need 12 here because that's how many steps this is, or how many notes.
I would say that question he asked is a really good question, and it's actually a thing that I think some people should think about more. For some starting bands, we're guilty of it, so I have no problem saying this, but it's like when they're creating their melodies and lyrics over the song, it's like it's just not quite right. Like there's not the right amount of syllables to lead you into the next part of it.
Sure.
And I would say like ways to combat that are honestly listening to like a lot of rap music or pop music, because rap is like really solid in the way that they structure the rhythms and match syllables and stuff like that, because it has to flow. It has to.
Yeah. It's like very metered. Outside of anybody who's doing something like Blueface, or there are people who like to be offbeat, or like Earl Sweatshirt, but even Earl Sweatshirt stuff is incredibly like, it's like there's so much intelligent rhyming and syllable counts in his stuff. It's just like more complicated and odd, than it is standard. And now spinning again. Oh, this is so long. We can read it. Friend of mine traveled to Ohio to see you last year, and of course I was stuck working. We're from Minnesota. Any chance you guys would make a trip across the pond to Duluth and do an acoustic session? Folk punk. Do you ever rock acoustics, they're asking? Or do you have any interest in an acoustic album?
All awesome questions, actually. The first Hot Mulligan songs were written actually on an acoustic guitar.
Nice.
Just me and Tades. I'd play the acoustic guitar and Tades would sing over it. It worked really well for us because I played drums in the band first and only picked up the guitar as a means of writing songs.
Sure.
So I already knew what the drum parts were. And I think a song should be good even if it's reduced to its simplest form, which is like acoustic chords and a melody.
Sure.
We've done one like acoustic tour. We did 3 dates with 4 Years Strong in 2019, January 2019. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And we're going to be doing an acoustic VIP session on our next tour, actually. So there will be some acoustic stuff. And we've talked about doing either an acoustic EP, some of our old songs, or maybe even new songs, or at least rehashing them in a way that hasn't been heard before.
Yeah, that would let you do the like more softer parts thing, right? You could change out some of like the screamier parts for singing parts, or pull them out altogether or something like that. That's cool. I love that. Do you feel like there's a challenge? Do you feel like it's also harder to play an acoustic guitar, or is that not true?
Yes, it is. For some things, I actually prefer playing an acoustic guitar more if it's just big open chords, which a lot of Hot Mulligan songs are. But within those songs, we also have the parts where we like noodle, tap, dance, whatever the emo kids call it nowadays.
Yeah.
And it sounds like garbage on an acoustic. Maybe it's because I rely on too many effects like distortion or compression on my electric to make it sound cool, but I can't make it sound very good on an acoustic.
Maybe it's just not the right acoustic.
Maybe none of them are right for me.
Yeah, there we go. That's great. That's fine. Walnuts and Rain asks, what are other tips you have for beginning music writers? So they're apparently wanting more. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I would try out writing on several different instruments.
Oh, cool.
Even if you don't play multiple instruments, like if you just, I have this little keyboard here.
Yes.
And I don't really play the piano. I know a little bit about it, how it works. But a lot of times I'll run into a rut where I'm playing the guitar. And every time I pick up the guitar, I play the same thing. And I hate it. Much like I said earlier, I pick it up, I play the same thing I did earlier that day. And guess what? It still sucks. But because I know how to play the guitar. So when I go play the guitar, I play what I know how to play. When I move over to the piano, I don't really have a clue what I'm doing. So it inspires me to do something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, like, once you start learning even just those two, then a third instrument opens itself up. Like, once embouchure is, like, I used to play the trumpet. Once you get what embouchure is, translating a piano to a trumpet is like so easy. Like, or guitar to piano, like, it's a guitar is a sideways piano. Not really.
Well, and in a lot of ways, yeah. And it's like languages too. People who are multilingual will say once you learn your second language, the third one is so much easier.
Yeah, because your mind is just now like open to a different section. You like have data to process through. Oh yes, ask the manager. I know that's Chris Watkins references Freddie Gibbs to our rap conversation too. People definitely listen to Freddie Gibbs. He has so much rhyme and meter. He's beautiful to listen to. Ronnie, that's funny. When you go into a record, do you have a rough idea of what you're going to cover thematically, or do the songs just sort of like create that?
We just kind of create that with the songs. We got a lot of questions when the album came out about You'll Be Fine and how it like encompasses the album as a whole. Sure. And it was really hard to answer a lot of times because we didn't go into the album thinking like, it's called You'll Be Fine. And it goes something like this.
Yeah, sure.
We just wrote the individual songs and it's kind of I'd love to experiment with like maybe coming up with a theme or a backstory and then trying to convey that through songwriting after the fact. But that's not really what comes natural for us. So we kind of just do what does.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said for people that do concept records or whatever. That stuff's really cool. But you have to really hard to make that not play itself out like kind of cheesily, right? Like if you're just creating art and relying on the moment of whatever you're experiencing, or this song's about your mom and this song's about your cat and this song whatever, then like the album as a whole will take on an identity regardless. So it's like, maybe You'll Be Fine emerged in some subconscious somewhere, or it has something to do with it, and maybe it doesn't. But once you hand it to other people, viewers, listeners, then they're allowed to like experiment with it and create meaning out of it, right? Or form, I want to say.
Yeah, I love that. And part of it too is like if you are just creating autobiographical, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, autobiographical.
Songs, and they're all about different things, and you've got 11 songs about 11 different things that have happened to you, and they're not related. Well, they are, because it's your life during the time period that you wrote those songs. So like there always is like something tying it together at the end anyways.
Absolutely. I'd love to see what the compilation of all your quarantine songs like have in common. It'd be super. They're just like your saddest ones about how much you suck at guitar and how you want to smoke more weed, but it's all gone.
Right.
Now Spinning's asking from your pedal board to explain your pedal board. I don't know if you have it near and if you can like show us or not, but
I do. I have two answers to this actually. I used a real pedal board for years. Actually, every Hot Mulligan tour we've done so far, I've used this pedal board I'm about to show you. But I actually just switched to the Kemper profiling amplifier now. And I use that remote. So all of my effects are like, it's like a multi-effects processor.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, while you grab that, I'm going to go pee. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You explain your pedal board to people.
Yeah, I'll find the pedal board here at some moment. Oh, I found it. Okay. So I'm back here to explain my pedal board. I'm going to try my best to line this up. It looks something like this. Basically what I have on there is my tuner into the MXR Dynacomp, into a VP Junior volume pedal, into a full drive 2, which is my overdrive, into a tube screamer, into an analog delay that I use for like a slapback tone, and then this Black's delay that I use for like a stuttery sound. And it's nothing crazy. The full drive that I have on there is actually just a tube screamer clone with an extra option for more boost. And that's the overdrive sound I just like the most.
Sick. And you're moving it over to or you've copied all those basically over to a digital thing?
Yeah, the Kemper profiling amp has distortion and stuff built into it, and you tweak it to match how the pedals are. I will say the one downside to it is that when working with like a delay pedal or something, I can't just bend down and turn the dial on it. I have to like hold a button, get the effect to pop open, and then I can turn dials on it. But I can't just like play, stomp, make feedback, and carry on with my day.
Sure. So there's a little bit more like you have to prepare for that a little bit better, or like anticipate it, I guess, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Sick, dude. Well, it's 9:45. I think we should just close it out. It's been so great to talk to you. Thank you everybody for watching and like asking questions. Thank you for coming in and chatting with us and volunteering to do it.
Thanks for having me. Stoked.
Of course. Do you want to just do the classic, like inform people on any sort of things that you have coming out or projects you can advertise for your Twitch channel, that kind of thing?
Yes. Okay. So as you guys just posted my Twitch channel in the chat, I've noticed Tades, our singer, has a Twitch channel too. It's twitch.tv/Tades_high. And then our other guitarist, Ryan, has one as well. It's twitch.tv/Ryan Malixi. Listen to our new album, You'll Be Fine. We put it out like 2 months ago now. And we had a tour that was supposed to start in 10 days, and the new dates will be posted tomorrow. So this is a little pre-announcement for that announcement. The tour is moving to November and December, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it. We're at Hot Mulligan on every social media.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you so much for chatting with us. Thank you everybody for watching. And from all of us here at Audiotree, we'll catch you later. Bye.
Goodbye.